It is a brand new world because we now live in the post Captain America Brave New World. The movie has finally dropped, Marvel's first offering of three for 2025, and we have thoughts. We are going to open with our spoiler free thoughts. That way, those of you who are here in the live chat can, hear our initial impressions and then, go watch the movie and come back and hear us. And then after that portion, we are going to get into our spoiler full bits um, and give you guys all the nitty gritty details as to what we thought of Marvel's newest film. Now, if you have never been here for one of our film reviews, then that means you don't know the way we typically do these, and we start them with the Rotten Tomatoes game. So the way it works is I know what the tomato meter score is and what the audience score is, and the other pals are going to guess what those numbers are, and whoever's the closest without going over wins the vaunted no prize.
Can't wait to win this one.
I can go first.
Do it.
So I know what the cinema score is. So I'm going to base this around that. I think the critic score is going to be let's go DC style, 52. And I think the audience score is going to be an 84.
Wow.
Okay. You said 84?
84.
Critics, 65. And audience, 82.
Okay.
Boy,
Instantly second guess that.
I did.
I think I'm looking at I think I gotta split the difference here. I'm gonna go 60 for the critics. And I'm gonna trust my audience, and this is gonna kick me in the ass because it does every time. I'm gonna go 75
Whoa.
audience.
Whoa.
All right. All right. Well, with 239 logged official reviews, the tomato meter sits at a disgusting 51%.
We just went over.
What?
And the popcorn meter, which is the fan gauge with 2,500 plus reviews, is a 78%. So Tyler was, I think, said 52
I
on
did,
the
yep.
tomato meter. So you were right on the money there. But on the popcorn meter, Cale went over, Marco was too high, and Tyler was closest. So Tyler wins.
No, wait.
No,
Kale,
Cale was closer.
Kale said 77, no?
I said 75.
75.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you went over on the tomato meter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wow.
Nobody gets
Yeah.
press.
Oh,
no one was
weird.
going to get one anyway.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there you go. This movie, of course, stars Anthony Mackie playing Sam Wilson, Harrison Ford playing Thaddeus Ross, who hasn't always played Thaddeus Ross, Danny Ramirez as Joaquin Torres, Sidewinder was played by Giancarlo Esposito. There were plenty of characters in this to talk about. I have been looking forward to this movie for a really, really long time. I love the Captain America franchise. I'm sure we all do. The key differentiator is, did you love Falcon Winter Soldier? How did you feel about that? That is a place where so much of the story of this, as it relates to the new Cap, unfolds and comes out. Because if you didn't watch that show, you don't even necessarily know that Sam Wilson became Captain America. This movie comes. We come into this movie shortly after, well, I guess a few years after the events of Falcon Winter Soldier. Sam Wilson is now sort of sitting in that position as Cap. He's gotten a little more comfortable with it. And we have a new president, in this case, Thaddeus Ross, who has some secrets of his own that may be maybe something that Cap has to stop or get involved with. So, what did you guys think of this movie? Spoiler free.
Oh, I will get into the spoilers, but eventually. But I'm just gonna say I letterbox all my movies that I watch, so I give Tyler official scores. I give this a 2.5 out of 5, literally right down the middle. I don't think I'll ever watch it again. I didn't hate it. It was a movie that I saw. I think it retread like Sam's arc in this whole story is the same arc he had in Captain and Falcon and Winter Soldier. It's literally a retreading of, oh, how do I handle being in the shadow of Steve Rogers? And then the rest of the movie is Incredible Hulk 2. So I think it's a perplexing movie. I think there's some good acting in it. I think this is the most likable Anthony Mackie's been as Sam. I thought the guy who played Joaquin Falcon was super
Danny
charming.
Ramirez.
Yeah, Danny Ramirez was super charming, and I love Harrison Ford. And Harrison Ford gets a little wacky in this. But I just thought it was just kind of a nothing burger of a movie, to be honest.
I wholly disagree. I had a lot of fun with this movie. Be it the action sequences, agreed that the acting I thought was really strong. Forgive me, I forget who Isaiah Bradley's actor is, but I thought they were Carl Lumbly.
He's great.
I thought really strong. I felt for those moments. Um, Agreed, Anthony Mackie was really strong as well. And I think there definitely bumps in the road when it came to um, maybe some pacing, but outside of that, man, I was sitting tight, edge of my seat, paid for the whole seat, bro. I was on the edge.
You heard it first here. Marco was edging during his screening
All
of
right.
Captain America: Brave New World.
Yeah, I'm gonna go the complete opposite of that. I had a bad time during this film. For me, the first three quarters of this film is almost completely the Winter Soldier, and then the Hulk is also there. I felt like the dialogue and the propulsion of the scenes, like the reasons people were doing it, was all just, it was almost like they were reading off of cards, just off screen or whatever. I just felt like everything was so um I have to do this because of this, and this is what it is. And it just it I mean, from the first, scene, it was just so annoying to me through the whole thing. And man, I I don't I don't want I don't want to go too far, but I am concerned about the Fantastic Four if this is the future of Marvel.
Just totally forgetting about Thunderbolt in between.
I I have no I don't give a shit about
Horse in that
Thunderbolts,
race.
my
Yeah.
man.
The trailer
That
that
that movie was never going to be good.
the trailer that they played in the theater for Thunderbolts, I thought was better than what we'd seen. It less goofy, a little more serious. So I'm hoping there's a good balance.
Hayden's Hideout with the 10 spot says on a scale of Cap Winter Soldier being a 10 and Ant-Man Quantumania being a 1, this movie is a 6 or 7 for me. I had fun with it, but it's not perfect. I wanted more Giancarlo Esposito. Okay.
That dude hams it up in this movie.
It's
Well,
cool.
he doesn't really never ham it up. He's kind of a hammy actor sometimes.
That's his deal. Yeah.
Yeah, I dug it.
Um, and then also before I share my thoughts, I wanted to get in the fact that Uncanny Suit and Red Spiral became VI pals. Thank you guys so much for that.
Yo.
Joining the channel. Really appreciate you. Hope you enjoy your early access videos and of course your emojis. I went into this with, pretty high expectations, I guess, in the sense that I've been really genuinely excited for this movie. Early reviews were not very kind. And so my perspective was, ah, man, hopefully this doesn't suck. But I've gotten to the point, honestly, where I need to judge these movies for myself because I think everybody has made up their mind about the MCU. And um, so I tend to ignore what reviews have to say. And it's a good thing that I did that because I loved this movie. I thought Cap 4 was awesome. I had a tremendous time with it. Um, I think there's a lot under the hood that a lot of people did not catch. I feel like this is a much deeper movie than people are giving it credit for. I think it has a lot of statements to make. It stops short of putting a hard stamp on some of those, but I think there are reasons for that, some of which are legitimate. But ultimately, is this Cap 2? Is this Winter Soldier good? No. Is it Civil War good? I don't think so. But I enjoyed it a lot more than I did the first Avenger, and a lot more than I've enjoyed many other MCU movies. I think that there's a lot to like. There were questions about whether Anthony Mackie would be able to hold it down as the main actor in a film, and I think he showed he can do that. I think there was a lot of really good acting in this movie, not just by him, but all around. I think everybody did a great job. And I think that the Red Hulk of it all um, was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I thought there was a lot going on with that character, and the way that he was handled was much, much better than what I was expecting. So I do think that people seem to be coming down on two sides of this one. It's very binary. I happen to love it. I thought it was great. Um, yeah, go ahead, Tyler.
I'm just saying. I was wondering when we could talk about the spoilers because I have thoughts.
Yeah. We'll get into it.
Yeah.
Electric says reviews I've heard of concerns a lot of pacing, possibly due to reshoots, and an intrusive score screaming at you what to feel rather than flowing with the feelings. Comments about the score. I definitely agree with that. That's one of the dings that I had
Mm.
against the movie. While I was there, it felt like they were overplaying the score. There's a moment pretty early on, and it happens throughout the movie where Thunderbolt Ross is giving a speech, and there's all this music, and it's like, man, like, how am I supposed like, how am I supposed to decide how to feel about this when you are constantly barraging me with music? It
Yeah.
doesn't give me space.
Normally, I'm not. I don't pay a ton of attention to the score. It's just not where my head's at during the film. But in this one, I had a moment where it was like the film is the score is telling me how to feel right now, and it's not like it's not how I want to feel. Like I'm already having a bad time, and you are telling me I'm supposed to be inspired in this moment, and it's like, but that's not what's going on.
It should be subconscious.
Yeah.
Where this, I was like, stop it. I'm trying to pay attention.
Huh.
Yeah, go ahead, Marco.
I didn't notice. I thought everything flowed well. I didn't notice the score. If anything, I think the 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 mix made me recognize the music more, like the what is it, the activation more, because I could tell it apart from what was going on in the background. So that felt almost like it played into the like why.
Uncanny Suit dropping 4.99 on us and says, I love that Harrison Ford portrayed my beloved Red Hulk, but having this big Ross story with no She-Hulk or Mark Ruffalo to be seen is very disappointing. I get it. I get it.
All dozen of the Rolk fans are disappointed, I think, with this. I'm one of
Oh,
them. I'm with you.
imagine how the bulk fans feel.
Bulk?
If you have questions that are spoiler free before we get into the spoiler section, get them in now. We can answer them right now. Um, and then we're gonna dive into the spoiler piece.
It's not a spoiler, but it is. This is the first Marvel movie to not have the fanfare at the beginning.
Mhm.
Oh,
Oh,
well, yeah,
interesting.
I didn't
I
notice
thought
that.
that was jarring for me. It goes right into the movie. We don't get the Marvel Studios and then like all the characters and all that. It doesn't happen in this.
Huh.
That was like, oh, Is that them not putting their seal of approval on this? Like, it was like a weird thing that jarred me as soon as the movie started.
Hound wants to know, for those who thought it was mid, is that a function of this movie or is it MCU fatigue? For me, I can't help but say it's probably both. Uh, I, I tend to go into these films, um, just expecting the worst now, and I just can't help that. Um, that said, like having studied screenwriting and different types of writing and um watching these films, like I'm seeing more within the story and sort of more gears, uh mechanics, I guess I should say. And for me, this just like it felt too robotic.
For me, the MCU fatigue is not from an audience standpoint. The fatigue is where I feel like the craft doesn't. It's just going through the cookie cutter motions. The fatigue feels like more on the MCU side rather than my enjoyment on it. I want to, like, I'm a huge Marvel fan. I have Marvel tattoos. Like, I want these movies to be good every time I see one. And sometimes I'll see something like this and I'm like, man, that was just boring. Like, you have this giant world you can live in, and this is what you came up with. It just felt just kind of weird for me. Yeah, we'll get into it. We'll get into it.
Yeah, let's get through a few more comments. Mike Hank says, "My question: did you enjoy Marvels more than this?" I did. That movie got hammered.
I did.
I was
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. I liked the Marvels a lot. I thought that was fun. It dealt, the characters had some actual like fun character dynamics. This I felt was
Sorry, the Captain Marvel, the latest Captain
the
Marvel.
Marvels, yeah, with Miss Marvel
Yeah.
and,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
Spectrum, yeah.
I did
I,
not enjoy this more than that, excuse me, I enjoyed this more than that, but I did enjoy the Marvels. I thought the Marvels got a lot of bad flack that felt like it had more to do with other things than the quality of the movie. But I like this more than that.
Yeah, I agree with that. The exact same boat. Like that one, and but I still like this one a little bit more.
Uncanny Suits says, "Yeah, I don't like how people were just hating on this movie going in. Marvel fatigue is really just code for people online being annoying." Yeah, I
well,
tend to
you
agree with
pay
that.
me. I can't help it.
And Sean Heston here says, movie was great. Sometimes it's okay to shut your brain off and just watch a movie and enjoy it. Some of us can't. Like I watch probably a half dozen movies a week. I watch a lot of movies, and I enjoy the craft. I enjoy the art of movies. And when I see something that I feel like lacks it, I can't just turn my brain off for it. That's just not how I enjoy the art, the act of watching a movie. And I think that's okay. People enjoy things differently. Some people like to drink beer because it tastes good, and some people just like to get shit faced. They're still enjoying the same thing, just differently.
Catherine Starr says, "I went in with high hopes to BH, so fatigue didn't get me, but this itself didn't quite hit me. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't the thing we needed after so many not great ones. I don't know. It was a solid 7." Arjun Jagad says, "I had a fun time, but I give it a 5 out of 10. Isaiah Bradley is pretty profound and grim character. I felt like this was a wasted opportunity to say something really special." I think the movie did say something really special.
But
Um,
but
go
Sean, do
ahead.
you think it said anything different than what it said specially in Falcon Winter Soldier?
We'll get into that.
Okay.
Scripture
Um,
says the movie was mid for me too, but much better than the reports made it out to be. Not sure if it's true, but I would have loved to see the original cut of this movie before reshoots.
you'll probably never see the cut of any movie before reshoots. All movies have reshoots. What happened with brand new Brave New World, that's what happens. People have made a lot out of these reshoots in particular, and I'm not all the way sure why.
And we don't even know the answer to that. People are saying, "Oh, it got reshot 4 times," but then like some of the creators be like, "No, we did normal reshoots." like that are
Yeah.
typical for
Yeah.
every movie. There's some Funko Pops and toys that came out for characters that don't exist or characters that look drastically different than what came out in this movie. So yes, there were changes to be had, probably relatively recently or close to the actual cutting of the movie. But that's just the nature of Marvel's turnaround time for film.
Carter Mitchell says, predicting I'll like this one since I liked Marvels and Quantumania. Yeah, I think if you like what the MCU's been doing, which I do, then you will probably like this. Like I loved the Quantumania, and I really enjoyed the Marvels, and I really enjoyed Deadpool and Wolverine. This is my favorite of all of those, including Deadpool and Wolverine. I enjoyed this the most.
Liked Quantumania?
Yeah, I thought we
Yes.
Yeah,
all
he
hated
did.
that.
No, he did. He
No,
did.
Oh,
Yeah.
I,
all
I,
right.
every time that movie comes up, you both always say that, and I'm like, where were you? I was the defender on
Man,
that
Yeah.
movie
I thought that was a
review.
universal constant.
where
No.
Oh,
where was I? You know. I those headphones go on the hook. I'm out, man.
Seeing red.
Electric says, did the Bradley appearance have weight just because you saw Falcon and Winter Soldier, or do you get the weight of him and who he is without having seen it? I saw, just asking. I mean, it's hard for me to put myself in the position of someone who didn't see it because I did, but I think when we talk spoilers, which we're just about to do, um, I think that it is possible to feel the weight of what that character means without having seen the show. I do believe that.
I saw the show and I forgot the weight of that. And so I feel like it landed.
I saw the very forgettable show.
I liked the show.
Didn't remember it apparently.
Look at that great memory.
Long COVID.
All right, last couple of comments and we'll do it. JetX says, I thought it was just okay. Still love Mackie. He's so charismatic and naturally comedic. It irks me when people are criticizing him not being able to lead a film when the script was really weak here.
I will say, as much as I didn't like this movie, Mackie wasn't the problem. I do feel like I think it was Tyler said Harrison Ford was wacky, and even so with some of his grumpy antics on the red carpets, I think you can tell he's just like, whatever, I'm here for the check, I'll do whatever you want.
He has
But
clearly stated that multiple times.
Mackie, like, I think he's as good as Chris Evans. I think he's just in the unfortunate position of coming after Chris Evans.
Yeah, the follow up.
And then the last comment that I personally wanted to hit on was from Uncanny Suit, who says Isaiah Bradley's grandson Eli was originally going to be a part of this movie. Interested in why they didn't go that direction. Just too many caps in the MCU right now? Question mark, question mark. I thought that was a surprise that he wasn't in it. Um, Definitely would have made sense, but I just think that there was a lot going on in this film, and it would have been too much to add a whole additional character.
Would have been busy. Busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little busier.
But all right, let's jump into spoilers now. I know we're gonna lose quite a few of you. Shit, leave your stream going on mute if you want to. But either way, do come back and listen to this once you've had the opportunity to watch the film. We don't want to hurt anybody who does not want to be spoiled, but we are about to jump into spoilers. So, um, the movie starts with a major development that happens off screen, which is Thaddeus Ross's presidency. And that is a big deal. The last time that I remember seeing him was in Civil War, where he was, government liaison, and they had the Sokoa Accords and everything like that.
See the
What?
solo Sokoa Accords?
What was it called?
Sokovia.
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 Yeah, someone was
Sokoa.
watching SmackDown last night.
Actually, unfortunately, I wasn't. But we had the Sokovia Accords and everything else. Now he's ascended to the presidency, and I think the movie wants you to think about right away. It requires you to have a history with the MCU. What is the reality of this situation. He's not a good guy. We don't think of Thaddeus Ross as a hero. He is an antagonist. Now he's the president of the United States. What does that mean? And a lot of the movie anchors on that concept of like, you know, how trustworthy is this guy? How much faith should Sam have in him? How much faith does he have in Sam, given that Sam is not Steve? There are a lot of those questions at play, and I really like the way that Thaddeus's arc plays out.
I think they also dipped their toe into the idea of like, here's this bad person that was able to convince people he's a good person enough to become president.
Yep.
Which is like, all right, that's a real life analogy there. But it literally is the tip of a toe. I don't think they ever go that deep with that. I think it gets bogged down with Hulk stuff and the reverberations of what happens in a movie 17 years ago. And like I think like the closest we get to something where I was like, "Ooh, that's interesting," was when, and we're spoilers, right? We could talk about this. When Ross early on takes Sam into the White House and asks him to reform the Avengers, and then he drops it 2 scenes later.
Yeah.
It's in Sam's head in the back of it, but it's no longer part of the plot. You know, it's not until it's the end of the movie where we're brought up with that idea again. So I feel like there's a lot of half measures in this movie just to get to big scenes that we saw in all the trailers. If you're a Red Hulk fan, just watch the trailers. They'll save you $20. Yeah, I think Ford does a good job having to take over from William Hurt, who I thought was a great Thunderbolt Ross in Hulk and in the Avengers movies, especially like in like post Age of Ultron, where he really is like a government official that is the face of the government for the MCU for a certain time. And I thought he brought a real like I don't know, like hardiness to that role that I think
You mean seeing a frail 1,000-year-old man be
this is where I'm going. This is where I'm going. Yeah.
president and general that didn't do anything for you in this one?
It kind of upset me to see Harrison Ford this old, to be honest. But I think Harrison Ford's Ross is a lot more frantic.
Yeah.
And yes, there's a plot point for that. You know, there's the pills and stuff like that. But it's not as, he wasn't as intimidating to me as William Hurt's version.
I think if he and not to harp on this, but like if he'd been slightly younger and slightly less frail old man, I think he would have been.
See, go ahead, Marco.
I liked Harrison Ford in this. I thought all of that worked. Seeing him be that frantic obviously felt like it was going to play into a thing and ultimately like signal demise. So I liked that. That was the initial point that we got. He's all the way up here. He's involved in all of this stuff, and there were a lot of scenes and moments where he's just getting bombarded with information that felt like we're getting bombarded with a lot of information to put us into his shoes. It's like, well, shit, he's under stress. I'm under stress. Like, damn, now Cap's involved in this. Like, okay, I get it. And to be honest, I don't remember what the other guy fucking
Marco's
looked like, what he
whole-
said. Like, I can't. This movie felt. I swear to you, I'm like, damn, what did I miss? He's president? Shit, did I not see something? It's, okay, no, fine, whatever. I take it as it is for the purposes of just getting involved in the story of the movie. I don't remember that movie from 17 years ago. I remember he had a daughter. Cool,
You were 3 years old at the time. That's why.
yeah. And I think it gave me all the information that I needed to know to say, look, start here. This is your foundation. From here, can we build and add on to this outside of the things that happened in the past? Because that's such a long time ago in real life that unless you wanted to go watch the movie or you really remembered it or really liked those things, then those things aren't relevant to you. The same way that they might not be relevant for one of the kids who started the MCU when they were 10, right? So here, take this, and I saw it all being really effective. I felt for him and his plight of just wanting to spend time with his daughter and hold her hand. I think that those moments really worked and made him a good character to follow, because we could again see the things kind of to, like unravel around him, and I thought that that was good as a contrast to the way that Cap says he always has to be on point. Right, he has to be on top of his shit. He has to be on top of things. He has to make sure he doesn't fail. And this guy in this position of power, who is he's the head of the state. The figurehead of the whole country, versus the idea of Cap as being the like a symbol for the country. Even was a cool, I think, contrast that got played well as those like dynamics shifted between them as the movie progressed.
I really think this movie did a great job of utilizing the history of the MCU. And it's something that we love in comics, but for some reason just cannot accept or fathom in film. Uh, yeah, it references a movie from 17 years ago because it's all continuity, and I think that's awesome. It helped to sell the leader's anger and frustration over what was done to him. You know, that's real time. We can all think about the passage of 16 years in our real life. Well, what if you spent 16 years, the 16 years that passed since The Incredible Hulk came out, what if you spent those imprisoned, illegally? That would suck. And so I like the fact that the film utilizes that. It utilizes the fact that we know Thunderbolt Ross and we have opinions about him already. It utilizes all of those things to build an emotional connection, hopefully, to these characters, that the movie doesn't have to spend a ton of time establishing the way it would if they had to introduce all these new concepts at once. That's why, like, even though there are a lot of things going on in the movie, I don't feel like it's bloated because so much of the weight of explanation and establishing doesn't happen here.
And it doesn't need to.
Yeah, exactly. It's been done elsewhere. Just like comics, it's not that big of a deal.
And I don't disagree, but what does that have to do with Cap? like, I think that's great if this was Hulk 2, Hulk 2. Like the biggest through line we have is Steve's relationship and the Avengers' relationship to the Sokovia Accords and Thunderbolt Ross. That's our through line between Ross and Sam. It's kind of a Steve through line. But outside of that, like it's a Ross movie, like where he is getting played by the leader, which on paper does not read as a Captain America story to me. And I think that's where I don't think this script helped Sam out because a lot of the script didn't. You could have put anyone else in that hero role, and it's still most of the same movie, outside of like the Isaiah Bradley stuff. But that already happened in Winter Soldier and Falcon. So
Well, but this
well,
is
not for
him
Marco
trying.
because he forgot it.
Oh, sorry, but this is him, like, this is now his new mission as, yes, he's been Cap, right, but this is now the new presentation. He's on the front stage. He's being dispatched by the president now. Like he's slowly gaining weight and earning the trust of people that he should not, I guess not should, but can get access to in the government. And I think that that's like that's why he's there, and it would only be him. Like you can't put Black Widow on this.
She's
You
dead.
can't put a Hawkeye on this. Like the for me, that this only fit within the confines of Cap.
The closest I think this movie gets to a compelling theme is the idea that Sam needs to be a perfect human being to be able to even have anyone recognize him as Captain America. And the foil being Thunderbolt Ross, who essentially failed his way up by lying and exploiting somebody else. And he is the biggest person in the US. And that foil between them, I don't think it goes further enough outside of very surface level.
I don't know. I think that level between Cap and Ross is also sort of amplified by the fact that you know, he tries to play Steve against Sam in making that initial comparison. You're not Steve. I can get away with this. And I think that adds what he is looking for, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do see why this is a Captain America movie, and I think at first we all had those questions, but um, I think that there are a lot of good reasons. So, first of all, this like a scene between Steve Rogers and the President of the United States. If that happens, it's like, oh my God, Cap, you're the greatest ever. Like we love you so much. You're the man, right? And when it happens with Sam, it feels extremely different. It's more like, hey, this is your big shot. This is your big opportunity, boy. Don't screw it up. Come work for me. Come work for the Avengers. Remake the Avengers for me. Cap wouldn't do
Done.
that. Yeah. Cap would not do that. Steve Cap would not do that. And Sam Cap has to consider, well, I'm not Steve. What would I do? Who do I trust? I remember, this is Sam, I remember when you locked me up because Sam spent time in the raft after Civil War or, during Civil War due to Thunderbolt Ross. So they have that relationship, but also Sam has the weight of being Captain America now. How does Sam fit into that shadow and stand in it and not allow himself to be overshadowed? There's something deep there also about the legacy of characters. This movie had a lot to do with legacy, not just the legacy of Cap and the lineage of Cap, but it also had to do with the lineage of the Hulk, and it had to do with the lineage of Black Americans. There were a lot of layers there. Um, Cap says that line. It was a great line. Tyler referenced it earlier about having to be perfect all the time. I did not see that as just a line about him being Cap. I saw that as a line about him being black. We
Yeah.
saw how Isaiah Bradley was treated. He was forced to go back to prison with no due process or anything like that after he did 30 years in prison being experimented on. Who else can you think of that has had an experience like that? Luke Cage. Go ahead.
Sure. And not for nothing, when they let him out because he was framed, or whatever the in universe reason was, the white lady has to go, come on, we've got just a little more paperwork to do.
Right.
For
Yeah.
what? For what? No, I'm not going back there.
And he's stronger than everybody that's there. He's a
Yeah.
super soldier. He could have broken out at any time. But if he does that, it sends a horrible message about black people. The black rage concept is all they like. This movie was so fucking deep, man. Oh my God.
Well, I think I find that stuff compelling, Sean. I found it compelling in the scenes where it was addressed, but I found the Hulk of it all to be reductive from that and took up way too much space.
I just don't agree. I don't
Um,
see that. Go ahead, Marco.
no, I was gonna agree. I don't know that it like those two things feel like living separate because it was taking Bradley and using him and the optics of that to affect Ross, but that also affects the legacy of Captain America. Again, like we just discussed, right? The legacy of Black Americans, of what they have to what they have to go through. When he got up and started shooting at the president, I said, "Fuck,
Yeah.
damn, dude, no, come on." And
How sorry.
yeah, yeah. No, no, and that compelled me. I had a strong reaction to that.
How uh Sean, uh how did you react to the fact that Isaiah surrenders?
I was angry. I
Yeah,
was angry. But I wasn't angry from a like this is bad storytelling standpoint. I was angry from a I've seen this before. Like I
Yeah,
hate this for him and I
sure.
hate that.
Yeah,
But I'm glad they showed it. And like people forget this movie was directed by a black man and I believe Martin Spellman I might be speaking out of turn, but I know that there were, black people who were behind the scenes on this. So those things are not mistakes. They're not there by accident. They didn't slip in. These are key
Oh,
points
certainly.
that they wanted to make, and you know, it. Martin Spellman is, I think he's black. It made me angry,
Mm.
and there were a lot of times in this movie where I was angry and I was uncomfortable, and I was glad that it was making me feel like that. And I agree that it probably could have gone farther, but my argument is that
Yeah.
the audience isn't ready for that in 2025. I think
You know,
they had to be subversive and sneaky in some ways to talk about those things that the audience won't accept.
It's not the audience that's not ready for it. It's Disney's not ready to make that tough of a stand.
They just
Yeah.
did it in Falcon
Yeah.
and Winter Soldier.
yeah,
I
it's a
don't
little bit of both. Yeah.
I don't I think the way audiences are right now with who the president is and everything else, they're not ready for a movie that's going to tackle that shit straight on like that. Um so we we get a big introduction here in this movie cuz the plot, the like, you know, the MacGuffin or whatever is adamantium,
Whoa. Yeah.
which they introduced here for the first time, and it's coming from Celestial Island. Remember the Celestial in the fucking water that everybody's
Tee him
been
up. Yeah.
angry about? They finally addressed it, and from that we got adamantium. America is trying to get their hands on it, the bulk of it, and so is Japan. So it puts those countries at odds, and there's a conspiracy well, really, the conspiracy is ultimately about disrupting Ross, but it puts these countries on a collision course. I thought that that was an interesting premise, even though like Japan being involved was so like random. You know, like they have nothing to do with anything. I almost wish they had a superhero of their own to throw in the mix, but
Like a silver
Nah.
samurai with an adamantium,
hell yeah.
or the sword, Marasma blade.
Oh, I like that because I don't know. Maybe it's also been reflecting real life. It felt like prime Japanese prime minister just came to visit, the U.S. in real life. So it felt like this is making sense even from a geopolitical standpoint. Um, Modi just came to visit, so India's involvement in this treaty deal makes a lot of sense because it plays into, oh, these are the guides of economics in the world, and oh, that they're drawing from that in real life. Cool. Okay, I buy that, and I buy that because it's in the Indian Ocean. These are the proximities, these are the allies, this is where it has to go. So for me, the context of all that just made sense.
Well, it's a play on the Cuban Missile Crisis with superheroes.
Sure,
Essentially, what
yeah,
it is. Yeah.
is believable, even though we obviously have to suspend our disbelief for the fact that it's coming from this island. I thought the introduction of adamantium, it made me obviously think of the X-Men, Wolverine. I'm like, wait a second, but Wolverine would be getting his things later. Hold on, what's this timeline? But then there's another universe. So I had a brief moment of just like, oh, interesting, huh?
I had
Hold
the
on.
exact same moment, Marco, because as soon as I started thinking about it, I'm like, I can't. There's too many holes now.
Well, not even holes, but there's not enough information yet. I
Yeah.
still don't know enough.
The timeline's too wonky. Mutants are, and I just
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
all right, I got to stop. And then it made me think of like, then why the hell did they even introduce it?
Well,
So
so you
build
can
to it.
remember later.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I know, but like, why did it have to be adamantium? Like, why did it have to be something specific? But I guess just because the name is recognizable.
Yeah, so you can remember it later.
Yeah.
Um Yeah, and so I thought the inclusion of adamantium was fine. You know, it's whatever. They needed a MacGuffin. They went with that. Uh,
Yeah.
but it put Cap and it put Thaddeus Ross in a very interesting position. I also think it put the audience in an interesting position. For most of the movie, my question was, or my thought was, obviously Thaddeus Ross is the one behind this. He's setting all this up. He's the one who hired Sidewinder from the Serpent Society. You know, it's like
Uh,
it's a false flag type of idea where they're making it look as though this is coming from all these different bad actors, but really it's coming from Thaddeus Ross, who just wanted to control the adamantium. And I like the fact that the movie plays on that and it pivots and doesn't go that way. Um, it made Thaddeus Ross a more compelling character to where you always assume the worst of him, but this time it's not necessarily true.
See, I
yeah.
wish I had never known a leader was in this, because then maybe I could have thought that. But in my head, I'm like, oh, it's gonna be a leader. It's a leader immediately. Like I knew having him known as a known quantity kind of ruined any kind of intrigue for me in terms of like the spyness of it all. Because I just knew it would be him.
I could see that. That was definitely something where I wish they had it, you know, like the phone call scene in the plane. I wish that hadn't really happened because it is giving you an answer to that question almost immediately. And I would have liked for that to have played out and been drawn out more, so that way the moments where of discovery happen alongside me with Cap.
That phone call scene in the plane is exactly when the power went out in my theater.
No way.
Yeah. And then like
The
the
leader.
screen is black and I'm hearing it. I'm like, oh god. And it was like 15 minutes before they got the power working again.
Damn.
Brutal. Yeah, I thought that making Thaddeus Ross, it's sort of like he got his old man Logan treatment from the Fox movie, where we're getting to see this character get older. We're getting to see him sort of reflect on his past and want to change and want to be better. But in this case, nobody believes in him. And even though he has swayed the general public, that's media manipulation tactics. He can't fool Sam, and he can't fool us. And so we're asking these questions the whole time through. I think Marvel did a great job hiding the leader. We know about it because we know about shit like this. They didn't tell us that the leader was going to be in this movie, and so I don't really blame Marvel for that. And it didn't take away from my experience because, again, I still wasn't sure if he was behind it. Um, and yeah, I'll leave it there for the time being.
Can we talk about the leader though? Um, I thought he was bad. I think there is concept art that was leaked months ago in Funko Pops and also in like T-shirts and stuff. You know, they have to make the merch for shit. Where he had the big head and the mustache and the goatee and stuff. And then this version, he looks like human gonorrhea. It's grosser in this. And I just found like I typically like oh god, why am I forgetting his name?
Tim Blake Nelson.
Yeah, Tim Blake Nelson, like a Ballad of Buster Scruggs, fantastic movie. He's great in the Watchmen show as well. I just it was very one note here for him. It's I'm scientist, I have revenge. There's one bit where he gets to freak out when he's wrong the one time in the movie. And Tim Blake Nelson gets to act a little differently. And I thought, okay, cool, that's nice. Even after he fucking kills off one of my favorite Marvel characters, god damn it. Dennis Dumphy as D-Man shows up in this for a very small role. I just found it to be, I don't know, he just felt out of place in here. Like, I understand storyline wise why it makes sense. Although, like, am I wrong in that the Incredible Hulk, Samuel Stearns isn't a bad guy. He's a guy who gets screwed over by circumstance.
Yeah,
like he didn't.
But it's been 16 years.
Sure, and the idea is that like he framed him for this, right? Yeah, I don't know. I didn't find it. It just felt like a Dick Dastardly mustache twirling guy, and I find it to be nuanced. Which maybe I'm expecting too much out of a Marvel movie.
Well, I think the nuance went to characters like Ross.
Sure.
Yeah.
That I think when we address the MacGuffin, like that's the leader, right? But like you said, this is a Thaddeus Ross movie.
Yeah. It did feel like a weaker character, like maybe not necessarily nuance, but just even the shock value of it. They tried to just kind of push that as a thing, and his dastardly nature. I think you could have made this a more interactive character.
Yeah.
Like he's really like all in the background. I'm sure that's probably that's his character, but there were even those moments where I thought it was corny when he kills with like the sound thing. He kills.
Yeah, he kills D-Man. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just like, all right, that was a little goofy. And he walks out into public. He's like, my plans have been revealed. Let's all go into whatever. Like, I think, or he just randomly kills these two admirals or something is in the house chilling.
He should be not a guy who pulls the trigger, in my opinion.
Yeah,
But here it was here. Arjun Jagad said, "I liked Tim Blake Nelson as leader, but I wish there was some connection with Sam. He was a very generic villain." I think there's a story here about government hiding you away and experimenting on you, and using you with ever giving you any credit. That is, it is relevant to both Isaiah and Samuel Stearns, and none of that has ever that through line has never met.
that's a good point.
With Ross as the focal point of that,
Yeah,
makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
I really liked the leader in this. The leader is an awesome character, and I was so disappointed that in the original Hulk movie, in the MCU, we didn't get that character. We got Samuel Stearns. He was there for a bit, but we didn't get the leader. And unfortunately, we're not going to get an Incredible Hulk 2. And so this was the chance to see him, and I was really grateful for that. Um, he's a guy who's angry because he was mistreated and he was done really wrong. And I don't think that the movie necessarily says it in your face, but I think it's very obvious that they want you to think about Isaiah Bradley and they want you to think about what was done to him. And look at his reaction when he's arrested, he stands down and he allows them to take him to prison and he allows himself to be put in solitary confinement. Whereas the leader is coerced into this, he's led to believe that he's going to get his freedom if he helps Thaddeus Ross, which puts some hidden red on Ross's ledger. But what it also does is it gives the leader a reason to want to strike out and get revenge, which Bradley also has. It's about how these two characters make different choices in very, very similar circumstances. And I love that. Um, the leader as almost like a human algorithm, a human AI predictive process. I thought that was really smart.
it's Marco.
Just him being a yeah, just him being a bright guy is hard to show, but that I thought worked. Um, and I really liked the fact that his whole gimmick was just to stick it to Ross for fucking him over. It was deeply personal. He reminded me of Baron Zemo from Civil War, who had similar goals and agendas that you could make the argument don't all the way connect to everybody involved. But I think this was done very well.
Man, I miss Zemo. I find him compelling, but I don't know if we're gonna get him again.
Yeah, who knows? The leader used mind control. He used mind control to. It was like a what's that word? Sleeper agent.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
They were like these sleeper agents, and he controlled Isaiah Bradley, and other characters throughout the film. And I did think that was used a lot, and it got kind of annoying after a while.
Yeah.
That
Well,
But
tired.
go ahead.
that should also be a bigger deal. Like the only other time we've seen mind control is what, Scarlet Witch.
Purple Man.
Well, okay. Let's see if Disney wants to admit that happened. But yeah, like I feel like that should be a bigger deal. Like they find us like, oh, it's mind control. Yeah, that's a big deal. Like, why are we? Why did
What
you
control?
How are you able to just to assume that the flashing lights were mind control? I don't know. It's me poking holes in it. But like, I agree, it was overused, and I feel like it wasn't heavy enough.
Well, it was novel at first as like a brainwash tool. Cool, fine. And then what? But once it started spilling out to like every Joe Schmo had one, and all you need to do is play a song. It's like, all right, that's like yes, he reached out here and fine. He's predictive enough that he can figure out that this person at this time is going to be here within that. Like as it got farther outside of that like orb of immediacy, it felt like it got more and more uh silly.
Loose.
Yeah, yeah, loose. That's a better word, loose.
Yeah, I think I liked it best the first time it was used in the during the president's speech and the last time it was used on the pilots. Because with the pilots, that establishes like, oh shit, this is a crisis. And that was where it's like, okay, this is Sam's opportunity to shine. He's gonna stop this fucking crisis from happening and destroying America. And I like the fact that the movie found ways to play with Sam Wilson's cap that you couldn't do with Steve's cap. Like having one of the finale moments take place in the air.
That was cool.
You know, Sam Wilson can fly. Steve Rogers can't. So I really appreciated them thinking about that throughout the film.
Dogfight. Love a good dogfight. Some war movie shit.
Yeah.
I think also uh having Cap, like seeing how he fights so differently. Like there's a bit where he's trying to learn how to do the boost kick. He's trying to teach new Falcon how to do the boost kick. Um, it again plays with that legacy, but it also shows that this is a different guy. They mention a couple times that he doesn't have the super serum, and I think that's a really good call out. It's a good focus. It's a good way to reframe who he is, and it makes the fight between him and Ross that much cooler in my mind. Just because as much as what is it? Bucky says he's the person that they aspire to be, right? Like because it's in reach. Like there's that tangibility. And then towards the end of the movie, that's what Joaquin says too. He's like, dude, I wanted to be you, because I could get there. Cap's Cap, right? He's his own thing, but he's not better than you. If anything, you are a more tangible person to want to be than the ideal of Captain America, or Steve Rogers as Captain America.
How many years has passed since Falcon has been in the public eye as an Avenger?
Uh,
As an Avenger, I mean, probably since he first joined the team proper in Civil War, so
7.
probably over a decade.
Okay, I guess it is that long. Because part of me was like, how do you look up to the Falcon as a kid? Like, oh, well, I guess he's young. Yeah.
been around.
Yeah, and that's to me is just one of the fucking coolest things about the MCU. And again, it's just comics. Like you get to see that there are characters who grow up being inspired by others and develop their identities and stuff like that. I love the way this movie played with that, and I think it does an excellent job playing with that through the relationship of Isaiah Bradley and Sam. Like Isaiah Bradley is Captain America. Steve Rogers is also Captain America, but you can see the through line from Isaiah to Sam. And I like the fact that Sam has this reverence and respect for Isaiah. And in the black community, so often, the people who are our leadership, they don't get any respect. They're forgotten. Black inventors who've been forgotten, black creators who have been forgotten. It happens even in comics. And so Sam Wilson giving him his flowers was an acknowledgement of the legacy, but it was also saying, this is what happens in history. Our people just get thrown in jail or they get murdered or whatever happens and they're ghosts. And he wasn't gonna allow Isaiah Bradley to be a ghost. I thought that was brilliant. I also really appreciated one of the earlier scenes in the movie where they're training, the training bit,
Oh yeah.
where with Isaiah Bradley, which sets up the last fight with Red Hulk pretty well, where Isaiah's doing the exact same thing that the Red Hulk later does. He rips off one of the punching bags and starts trying to hit Sam with it the same way that the Red Hulk rips a tree out of the ground and starts trying to bash Sam with it, and seeing how Sam is using some of the things that because he gets fucked up in the fight with Isaiah a little bit. Seeing him use some of those strategies later on, I thought was pretty cool.
So I want to say a good thing and a bad thing about that Hulk fight scene at the end. I think Weta Workshop worked on the effect of Harrison Ford Hulk. I thought it looked pretty good when he had the close-ups.
Yeah.
I thought like, oh, okay, this looks like there's actual money put into this. That being said, at the very tail end of that fight, when Sam is talking to Hulk and he's giving him that speech, just trying to calm him down, is the worst green screening I've ever seen in a Marvel movie. I felt like we've done better green screening when we've recorded some videos at Sean's place. Everything was blurry in the background, and it looked bad, and it looked like it was done last minute, and it felt weird, and it really took me out of an otherwise pretty decent CG. I mean, it's a Marvel CG fest at the end of the movie. It is to be expected. but it was like, oh, that's how we're ending it, and now I can see all the pieces behind the scenes. Yeah, yeah. Mike Hank, the cherry blossom background was bad.
I didn't feel it, but yeah, I'm not keyed into it as much.
I gotta say, I'm really not like so. Uncanny Suit said, "I know America's effed up right now, but Bucky being able to run for Congress after being a Soviet assassin and killing the King of Wakanda is wild." Okay, but like I know you read comics. You know that like this is comic book shit. Like that's what happens. Like I'm bugged out by these questions. Oh my God, they had mind control. I can't like they need to explain that and go deep. Why? Like, do you question it in comics? Like these are it's the same shit.
My thought was more like, if he's a senator, how does he have time to be in Thunderbolts?
Yeah, right.
Is
What's he
Thunderbolts
doing there?
before this, and he does something in Thunderbolts that makes him popular in the public image? Takes down the Void. I don't know.
Like it's like in the comics how Steve Rogers was a cartoonist. He did art for comic books. Every time I hear that fact, I go, no, the fuck he didn't.
Um, yeah, I see a lot of people talking about the green screen. Catherine says, "Oh, it was noticed. I thought I was bugging out."
Okay.
It's like when you take your 3D glasses off in a 3D movie, is what it felt
Yeah.
like. Oh, says Marco when Marco's eyes turn into a cartoon character.
I thought the overall fight at the end was cool. Using the wings, the vibranium, using all the tech and stuff. Man, I just had a good time with those things. Like, and it made the transformation like that much more meaningful, and impactful because he's been crying about his daughter. He had that phone call right beforehand. I felt for that. Um, and then when he gets beaten and he gets taken to his own jail cell, and he finally meets with her, I felt it. Got tears in my eyes.
Easiest paycheck ever. Her whole face is not even shown in this movie. Her one scene is through bars.
Yeah, man, how much you think she had to take to the bank that day? Woof.
Easy one. Yeah.
First of all, Liv Tyler is it.
I just watched All Lord of the
Like
Rings
no
recently.
disrespect there. Yeah.
I agree.
She is it, and I was so happy to see her in this movie. She's been one of the missing pieces for me from the MCU since Incredible Hulk. So I was glad they got her in here. And I thought, man, I thought the way they used her, with her being someone that Thaddeus Ross was trying to build a relationship with again, and her not being willing to give him another chance for all these years, it definitely helped sell the idea that this is a guy who was trying to do right, but just can't get people to see him differently and to forgive him. And I think that that whole arc leading to him becoming the Red Hulk, I just thought that that was phenomenal. Like, he can't, no matter what he does, he cannot just brush his past away. He can't sweep it away. He can't president it away. He can't mass media it away. It is going to come up into the surface. And the person that makes the Red Hulk come out of him, the person that made him the Red Hulk, is arguably his greatest sin. The what he did to the leader is the worst thing we know he's done, and that is what leads him to become the Red Hulk. And I thought that was great.
Do you think though the movie gives you enough to say that she would still forgive him at the end?
Yeah, yeah, because like there's enough to explain there. He was making incremental progress, even with the phone call. At the
But
beginning of the movie, he was like, I don't even know if she wants to talk to me. And all these things have been happening. And then you got to the phone call moment, and then you got to her meeting there. I thought that was a good through line.
yeah, but the movie tells you that all the stuff that is known is what drove her away from him. And wouldn't the fact that he kept someone captive for 17 years and tricked his way into wouldn't the revelations about what he was doing that now the public knows about make her even more staunchly opposed to seeing him? Like I just felt like it was unearned.
Um, I think it's one of those. Yeah, I half agree with you. I think it's one of those things that if you look at it, yes, of course. But they have to wrap the movie up. And Ross's arc, he has to have an arc.
Sure.
He's not dying at the end, and he like something good has to come out of it somehow, and that's his goal. That's his arc.
And
And
yeah, go ahead.
please,
Just he owned his shit. He owned his shit.
yeah.
And thematically, to close that story, because we're probably never going to we'll see him again, but probably not the leader, probably not Liv. To close that circle, I think that's what needed to happen.
And I think you're supposed to infer that Sam went to speak to her. It was it to me, it felt like basically all of that was put together by Sam to show how in control he does actually have things. The end of his arc, despite being just a normal guy.
Dumb question. Were you guys bummed that we never knew who the vice president was?
No, didn't think about it once.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, what's the succession of power now that Ross is gone?
Oh, afterwards, yes.
Yeah.
After, like, who's in charge? Yeah.
It's like, Vice President Stryker is now getting sworn in. Like, I was expecting something like that, maybe not that, but something to then tip me off to the next one, because I think this movie had the worst, maybe second worst post-credit scene of any Marvel movie.
Oof. No mid credit either, man.
No mid-credit.
Yeah.
The whole movie was mid. They didn't need mid-credits.
Damn.
Let's wait to get to the after credits. Matt Fisher with the 499. Movie okay, music great, but how you have the leader with no Bruce Banner? That's like when the X-Men fight the Masters of Evil. Well,
Did you guys feel the vacuum of Bruce Banner in a movie that's mostly or a good chunk of it a Hulk movie?
Nope.
Nah.
I thought that his absence carried its own weight in the sense that the legacy of the Hulk character, the idea of a hulking beast, played into the movie for me, but I didn't feel like I needed to see Bruce to sell that because I've seen every MCU movie, so I get the point. We know that Thaddeus Ross is the greatest antagonist of Bruce Banner, and here he becomes his own worst enemy. The thing that he gave his life, he devoted himself to trying to destroy, the Hulk, is what he ultimately becomes. And I think that message gets across without Bruce Banner needing to be present.
It's more of a Hulk as an idea rather than Bruce Banner.
Yeah, it's again going back to the legacy idea. I thought they played that up extremely well. But again, it's not all in your face. We're going to literally say these words to you. Some of it you just have to think about. Mr. Funiverse, though, did say, yes, not knowing who the vice president was at all was really confusing to me. They didn't need a whole plot line, but at least a mention would be nice. But what if their name is John Smith? Like, do you care then?
John's
Maybe it just builds out that world of just that little bit more, Like it's not so much that we care who the vice president was. It just like it's another block of complexity that builds the actual world around it, even if it's John Smith. John's got it.
Yeah, then we know it's not somebody else. I don't know. Just like in Secret Invasion, there was a lot of president stuff in that, and none of it's talked about here. I assume just an election happens. That's about it. But like that president was like almost assassinated. Like,
well, you brought that up, and it's funny because Juan Ramirez also brings it up with
yeah.
$5. Thank you, Juan. Good to see you. I haven't seen you before. Y'all think President Ritson from Secret Invasion was president before or after Ross? I would have to say before. Before.
It's got to be before.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Because it looked like Ross was just elected. Secret Invasion was literally a few years ago, so I'm assuming we can infer the same about this film. So, yeah.
Let's forget about that show.
I think Marvel wants to too, which is why none of it was brought up.
Yo, we didn't even talk about what's his face, Giancarlo.
Well, let's.
All right, throwaway. I mean, I wanted him to do more. I don't know, I don't know that I needed him there. Obviously he wasn't meant to be like the main villain here. But I feel like yeah, he was cool. He got his moment, but do more with the guy. He got a good ass
That's it.
actor.
They cut my
Yeah,
boy
yeah.
Seth Rollins from the movie. Like, and Diamondback was in this movie, right? The pink haired one. Like,
That I don't know.
there was a McDonald's toy for her, which the McDonald's toy came out 6 months ago or something like that. Um, yeah, there's that. That's one of those things that got cut on. I think there's a lot of Serpent Society stuff that was on the cutting room floor here.
Yeah, I mean, I was fine with Giancarlo's character. I think that if they gave him a lot more or too much more, it would have like he wasn't the point of the movie. I do think I don't know if they're still committed to this, but there was talk of a spin-off show that would follow him um on Disney Plus. So we'll see if that materializes. But I enjoyed him. I liked seeing him do some real action stuff. Like, we've watched Breaking Bad. We love that. He's in that, but his action sequences aren't as actiony as they are here. So I enjoyed that quite a bit. And I enjoy him as an actor. So I was happy to see him.
I'm cool with him showing up again because Marvel at least did not kill him off of the movie,
Yeah.
which they tend to do. So I have a feeling he'll show up probably in a similar role in another movie down the line, or when they do like intro scenes where they have to like when Batroc shows up in Winter Soldier, like ooh let's show someone you recognize from the previous movie to do like Crossbones and Avengers. I see him playing that kind of role. I don't know how Sam just ate a hatchet to the ribs. Uh, and was fine. I'm still sore from getting surgery done on my abs, so I know abdominal stuff ain't fun. But Sam's
Did,
the strongest out of all of us, right?
didn't they say they addressed it? He's like, oh yeah, I had like a Kevlar or
Yep.
something, and it.
Oh, did he? Okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That might have been where my power was at.
Uncanny Suit dropped 199 on us. Sorry we missed this, Uncanny. We would never skip a super chat though. This Serpent Society wasn't very serpenty.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah,
Bad guys. No name bad
exactly.
guys.
Yep.
Or no face bad guys, I guess.
God forbid we get King Cobra with the full on gear in a movie.
Not yet.
Listen, in a Marvel movie, they only just discovered color. Like, come on.
Yeah, the color is red.
Matt
Well, yellow.
Fisher with 499, making me see the color green, says, "Can't believe we didn't get the Water Wizard in this movie." Jeez, Feige. Yeah, come on, Feige. Water Wizard needs to be represented. Whoever the fuck that is.
That's me after I drink my normal size Coke.
So there were a couple of characters I wanted to talk about real quick before we get into the close of this conversation. And the first one is the most controversial character of this entire film, the character that people were boycotting the film over, and that is Sabra, played by Shira Haas. She is the widow, the Black Widow that we get introduced to here, who is another one who had spent time in the Red Room. She plays the the agent, super agent person, and people were really angry because she's I don't even honestly know, to be honest, all the like politics of this.
I can help. Shira Haas was she voluntarily joined the IDF even after getting medically cleared to not have to.
The Israeli Defense Force.
Yeah. So this movie, because of her involvement in it, not necessarily the character either. Like the character is a no-name character; it's just a widow. But her involvement was essentially saying, "Hey, if you see this movie, you are supporting somebody who went into war to, perform genocide." Which I can see the through line. It's a BDS movement thing, and I understand that, and I respect that.
Well, not just that. She's a no-name character. I sort of, and maybe we'll never get official confirmation about this, but were led to believe that she was going to be her own super soldier. For Israel, I guess.
That's what she is in the
and
comics. Yeah.
Yeah. Sabra as a character in the comics is an Israeli super soldier. I think turned mutant or discovered to be a mutant or something. But in her history of the comics, she's also incredibly racist against Palestinians. And uh, anytime she's written, uh, the character is not only racist toward Palestinians, it feels like a curse. Every writer becomes racist against Palestinians, both through the mouth of the Palestinians toward her and then back toward them. This character is a mess, and with everything that happened around the Israel Gaza situation, to be honest, I was really expecting the worst, uh, especially given Disney's ties, to um, um, Israel and all that. So for me, I was relieved that they didn't make her that character. But I do think the reshoots of this film had to extensively edit her stuff out.
There was a part where she just shows up with a costume all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
I wonder if that leather jacket was green screened or edited in afterward. Like um it just um it just didn't feel right, but I'm relieved again that even though maybe the actress has these things surrounding her, the film itself doesn't go there. um because I didn't feel like it needed to, story wise, and I didn't feel like it needed to um in real life.
Cale, thank you for adding that context because it's very relevant. And I just looked up Sabra, and everything you're saying is right. Um, and so, yeah, people were really angry about this character's inclusion. I don't think that there was anything in the movie that, I mean, struck me as problematic. She was a regular character. I like that they tied her into the Red Room stuff. I thought that was a pretty cool callback. And we know that there are other widows in the world, so this wasn't crazy at all.
Yeah.
Um, and I,
I,
I liked her, in that role.
There's literally a throwaway line that's like, "Oh yeah, she's from Israel." That's as far as it goes.
Yeah.
and that's kind of one of those things. It's like, yeah, well, okay. um yeah, I if that sort of makes you feel weird, it did me. I felt a lot of things genuinely going into this film, and I think it also unfortunately colored the way I watched it, but or at least my mood. But everything in front of that I think still stands because I really still didn't have a good time. I also donated to the, I think it's the Gaza uh children's kitchen or something, on GoFundMe, just the price of the ticket, just so that I didn't have to carry that just in
Yeah,
case.
The other character that I wanted to touch on really briefly is, of course, Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier, who made a very brief appearance here. It was reported that he wasn't in the movie, and people were saying, "Oh my God, it's the first Cap movie without Bucky. What's the world coming to?" It was also the first Cap movie without Steve Rogers. Get a fucking grip. But they did put him in the movie, and I thought that was pretty cool. He has a very touching scene with Sam. They've got a lot of history together, and I like the fact that they're willing to acknowledge that history, and that he's the one to kind of give Sam the pep talk of like, "Nah, you're the guy, dude.
Yeah.
You are definitely the guy." And the Winter Soldier Falcon show, like everybody has said, like, oh, well, they did all that, but they didn't go all the way with that because most of that show, he wasn't in the costume. Most of the show, he was Falcon and he was doing Falcon stuff, if I remember correctly. And there was a conflict about whether he even should have the shield at all because they had the U.S. agent and all that jazz. I thought this was just a very typical moment. You've seen it a million times in a movie. The hero needs a pep talk, and Bucky was the perfect person to give that.
Yeah, and you're right. They didn't go all the way. No hand holding, no kiss,
Oh
not
no.
nary a butt grab.
I
So
was
I
gonna
don't
Can
say,
know.
you
Marco,
believe that?
you can't even remember the show. So
I remember the memes.
Remembers the hentai.
Hey yo,
Whoa.
what's the Falcon Winter Soldier ship name? I know Steve and Bucky is Stucky. Is it Fucky? Oh,
Isn't it Winter Falcon?
it's Winter
maybe.
Falcon.
Okay. Well, the fact that you two came
Catherine
up with
left. I guess we won't find out.
that.
Yeah,
So let's talk about the post-credit scene. Um, there's only one, and it deals with a meeting between Sam Wilson and Sam Stearns, the leader, where the leader essentially tells him, "Look, dude, I've already seen it. I know it's coming. You guys are used to having to defend the Earth from evil, but you're going to have to defend it from heroes because essentially the incursions." Um, I thought that fell flat. Like it didn't have enough punch to it. I like what he's implying, but I thought it was weird for it to come from him, and I thought that it just didn't really feel appropriate for this movie,
yeah,
for it to come at the end of this film. I thought Cap saying to Joaquin Torres at the end, like, "Oh, I might have to think about restarting the Avengers." That felt like an appropriate, like if you had to have a stinger and it was only going to include characters who were already in the movie, I think I would have preferred it to be that rather than what the leader said.
And then
yeah,
you go right into the Avengers will return, you know, something like that. Instead of the leader saying something we already know as viewers is happening,
yeah,
that he should, probability should not get you there.
Yeah.
We're talking
Yeah.
like probability exists within our universe for the probabilities of our universe. How did the fuck does he know about the multiverse?
Yeah.
I was maybe expecting, man, if Quantumania didn't happen, we could have had a little fun little Ant-Man cameo because he keeps getting talked about in the movie, like a funny post credits thing.
Why
Yeah,
couldn't he have been in it due to Quantumania?
he's. Oh wait, no, he didn't. Yeah, he didn't get stuck in the quantum reverse. I wanted him to. That's
Did you
my.
forget?
I forgot what I
that was
wanted. Didn't
that
happen.
was
Yeah.
that was our headcanon.
Yeah. True. Oh yeah. I guess he's still around. Yeah. Well, I guess they could have done that then.
I
yeah.
think I think what I appreciated the most about this end credit scene is that my Zoom background is actually better than Disney's.
It was bad. Yeah.
It was just cheesy. I saw the numbers. I could see it all pointing towards one direction. Like, all right, relax, guy. You fucking couldn't predict that Cap would win, but you can all of a sudden see there's multiple universes. Relax, sit down.
Yeah, that was a little lame. I had my expectations for that were definitely not met in any way, shape, or form. Um, so final thoughts about the movie, and if you feel like you want to give it a score, please do.
Final
Uh,
thoughts. Oh,
oh,
go.
please. Okay,
Yeah,
I'll go
well,
first because I want to do mine differently. So early in the movie, Sam bashes a guy in the face with a cinder block. And so I'm going to take my score and flip it. So 1 is going to be the best for me and 10 being the worst, meaning cinder blocks to the face. For me, this is an 8 out of 10, cinder blocks to the face. I felt like everything, like we've talked a lot about a lot of depth here, but it just didn't fly with me. I don't feel like it was that successful in what it does and what it is trying to do. Um, I said it at the top that a lot of the dialogue and a lot of like the uh scene to scene things felt very uh in your face, like very I have to do this to do this. And it just like it felt stiff and it felt unnatural and it just felt bad. And that just didn't change much for me through the whole thing. Um so 2 out of 10, 8 cinder blocks to the face.
This was 2 cinder blocks to the face, I guess, by that measure. Um,
It still
one,
sounds bad. I'm sorry.
well, one just because I think there were definitely gaps in the logic of things. Some things like the leader overplayed his welcome in like uh, the predictions. Some felt gimmicky. I felt like even the killing of D-Man was unnecessary because you could have just had a scene where Cap got the call and Stearns was already there walking up to him being like, haha, you figured it out, but I have been this many steps ahead of you. um and I think also, yeah, pacing overall, there were just moments that I felt uh things took a little too long to get to. But I enjoyed the package of uh the interactions between all the characters, especially Ross, especially uh, Anthony Mackie, and yeah, the fight scenes were also a lot of fun. So I think it was a strong movie. It wasn't the heights that we've seen for the MCU, but it was a good watch.
I'll go because I'm closer to Cal on this than I am with you, Marco. I think it was a retreading of a lot of the same themes that we had in Falcon and Winter Soldier. And then otherwise, it just wasn't much there for me. I think it's another case of like, you see a lot of the main scenes in the trailer. So I got to stop watching these trailers. We got to stop doing trailer breakdowns. And I think there's some good acting here. So that's probably where I would bring it up above Cale, but I don't think that what they were given was good. I think they did as best as they could. And, Figure Drawing asks, is this a skip entirely movie? I can't make that call for you. If it were up to me, this is a watch on Disney Plus movie. I think that's what I told or plan on telling my dad because he'll probably want an update on this. I am hesitant for Thunderbolts now. I don't know. This was not my bag, and I probably will never watch it again. So that's how I feel. 5 out of 10 for me. I'm with Kyle. Yeah.
I'm an 8 out of 10 on this one. I enjoyed it quite a bit. It feels like a movie that was made with a lot of the themes and ideas in mind that I care about. I really liked the redemption arc with Thaddeus Ross. I thought that was well played. I thought Isaiah Bradley's character was incredible. Just so incredible what they did with that character, and I'm so it really affected me, the way he was presented and respected. Um, and I almost wish we could see some more of that character. Unfortunately, I don't think we will, but I would love to see his adventures as Cap if we could, at some point. But I don't think we'll ever get it. I thought it was fun. I thought it had heartfelt moments. It made me emotional. I thought the action was really good. The acting was very good, and I think Anthony Mackie proved everybody wrong. He proved everybody wrong that he can do this. He can wield the shield in a way, in a meta way. How many people were saying he couldn't anchor a movie? How many people were saying he shouldn't be Cap? To me, this movie, if it did anything right and solidified anything, it's that Anthony Mackie is Captain America, and I'm confident in his ability to lead the Avengers and be that anchor actor as we go forward.
Marco, you gave this an 8, right? 8 out of
Yeah,
10? Okay.
Nate. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 7 actually.
Oh, okay, that ruins my math here. I was going to say, if we aggregate all four, that is a 5.75 out of 10.
Oh, what are the critics? What was the critics?
They were 51%.
Okay,
Yeah.
just a little higher.
What? I mean, that tracks for
Yeah.
the way
lines
we
up.
liked it.
Mike Hank says, my question to Sean is, would this movie be a rewatch? As we've been having this conversation, I was thinking like, I should go see this again. I want to watch it again.
Do
Like
you
I had a good time.
I find myself never really rewatching Marvel movies.
Hold on. I know you have the cinema pass. I do too. Do you pay for a ticket? I mean,
Absolutely not.
obviously you won't pay for a ticket because you have the cinema pass. Would you pay for a ticket?
Yeah. An 8 out of 10 is like, that's a really good movie under my scale. So, yeah, absolutely. I saw Deadpool and Wolverine twice in theaters happily, and I like this more than that.
Yeah.
Chris Moreno says someone on TikTok. Ah, yes. Ah, yes. The most wise people are always on TikTok. I'm just playing, Chris. Said it perfectly for me. It's a filler movie, and it was a Hulk sequel that we wanted but couldn't have. Now they can bury those characters since She-Hulk was not a success. It might be right. It might be right.
I mean, I could tell you, I
Yes.
could tell you why Tatiana Maslany probably would never want to be associated with this movie, and it's not the Hulk part of it. She's very pro-Palestinian.
Oh,
There you go. There you go.
Okay.
All right. Thank you guys so much for listening. Appreciate you. Make sure you hit the like button on the way off.
Smash it.
Yes, there you go. We will be back live with you on Thursday for Pals Pulls. That is our show where we review weekly comics if you're unfamiliar with what we do. And then Saturday, next Saturday again at 10:15 a.m. Eastern, where we talk about the big picture of the comic book industry. If you read comics, if you're into the industry of comics, we like to think we're one of the best channels around for those big picture talks. So hopefully you'll join us for those in the future. We will see you in the future.